Alrighty, welcome back to the News Commons Radio Hour here on WMSC 90.3 FM Upper Montclair. I'm still joined here in studio with Carla Baranakis, and we're going to talk a little bit about Jim Acosta and his testy exchange with President Trump during a press conference, a long-winded press conference yesterday. And not just the conference itself and the exchange, the aftermath, and then the attempted cover-up. I don't even know how to explain this. I'll just tell you what happened. So CNN's Jim Acosta, who is a well-known thorn in Trump's side, was asking silly questions. He's trying to do a gotcha question. He wanted him to talk about why the caravan, he called the caravan a caravan, and why he said it was an invasion. And this is a good sort of line of questioning, but the way he was doing it, it was obvious. And Trump saw it and was having none of it, and so tried to wave him off. Acosta refused to yield. This went on. This is like a 2.5-minute exchange. We're going to play it in its entirety and break it down a little bit shortly. But after the exchange, Acosta went back to the White House for an 8 p.m. hit time to go, do another round of interviews or get back into the White House, and he was stopped at the door and said he was no longer allowed access, and they revoked his hard pass, which is the literal, physical thing they hang around their necks, the press pass there. So then, a little while later, I want to say later in the evening, Sarah Huckabee Sanders tweets out a video, a version of the video of the event that appears to show Acosta sort of striking, I guess, when one of the interns, White House interns, came up to take the mic from Acosta. She reached at it, she grabbed it, and he sort of pulled away. And at one point, she reached, sort of through his arm, and his arm moved, and it pushed it down. It's so obviously not a thing, not an issue from the original video. And anybody who's watched it, it's so obvious. But the video that Sarah Huckabee Sanders, the White House press secretary, tweeted out appears and now that the Washington Post has done side by sides, all these organizations have shown it's a doctored video that slows down the intern's reach for the microphone, and then speeds up Acosta's arm reaction, his movement, to make it appear as if he sort of jerked his elbow into her arm. And they're calling that it's appalling for Jim Acosta to strike a young woman like this. I mean, and they're really making a big fuss over it. And now they're being called out for sharing the video. Apparently, it's not clear whether or not they doctored it or if InfoWars was the one who doctored it, because they seem to have run a very similar, if not the same, video. Huckabee Sanders did upload the video file to Twitter and posted from her account, so it's not like she shared or retweeted. She either downloaded the altered version and then re-uploaded it and shared it, or somebody in the White House did it themselves, which is even more insane. Let's start real quick. I'm going to play this audio, and we'll sort of walk you through. I'll talk you through what's actually happening in the video, because some of you won't be able to see, but it'll be pretty obvious what's going on.
In the midterms.
Here we go.
If you don't mind, Mr. President, that this caravan was an invasion. As you know, Mr. President,
I consider it to be an invasion.
As you know, Mr. President, caravan was not an invasion. It's a group of migrants moving up from Central America towards the border with the U.S.
Thank you for telling me that. I appreciate it.
Why did you characterize it as such?
Because I consider it an invasion. You and I have a difference of opinion.
But do you think that you demonized immigrants in this
all.
election
No, not
to
at
try
all.
to keep...
I want them to come into the country, but they have to come in legally. They have to come in, Jim, through a process.
Yeah, so this is exactly what I mean. Like, what answer did you expect, Mr. Acosta? Like, what did you expect him to say? Why did you characterize it an invasion? Because he wanted to stoke racist fears before the midterms. That's why. I mean, you want him to say that on the air? Is that what you were expecting? No, of course he's going to say, well, because I considered invasion, and it's a subjective appraisal of the situation, and I can say that if I want to. And then, it continues. And it gets testy. But you could tell right away that he was not going to get a real answer from this question. There was nothing revelatory that they were going to expose as part of this hard-hitting line of questioning that CNN has. This is Trump baiting. They want the soundbite. So we'll continue. But I just don't want to let Jim Acosta off the hook for this. You get one question and you use it on this. I'm not surprised. I would be frustrated too. I don't want to give Trump credit, but I would be frustrated too.
I want it to be a process. And I want people to come in, and we need the people.
Your campaign.
Wait. You know why we need the people, don't you? Because we have hundreds of companies moving in. We need the people.
They're hundreds of miles away, though. They're hundreds and hundreds of miles away. That's not an
you
invasion.
Should, honestly, you know what?
Away. That's not an invasion.
Honestly, I think you should let me run the country. You run CNN.
All right.
And if you did it well, your ratings would
be
much better.
If I may ask one.
Honestly, sick burn. I got to give it to Trump on that one. Is he expecting to change Trump's mind on national TV? I don't think so. And so here's where we start to get in. So at this point, now Trump has given him his answer. Acosta has given him a chance to now say, well, we have so many jobs. That's why we need all these people. But we want him to come in legally. Trump wins that exchange hand over foot. And it continues now. Now Acosta wants to get another question in, which, again, is, you'll see in a second, the same type of question where he wants to talk about the Russia investigation. He's already got Trump frustrated. And no sane person watching this is expecting Trump to just go, you know what, let me just give you a candid response. I'm really just trying to obstruct this Russia investigation. It's just not going to happen. It's not in the cards. And watch, it's exactly what happens.
Another question, Mr. President.
That's enough.
Ask one of the
so now this intern, the White House intern, is trying to grab the microphone.
Mr. President, I had one other question, if I may ask, on the Russia investigation. Are you concerned that you may have?
I'm not concerned about anything with the Russian investigation
because
it's a hoax. That's enough. Put down the mic.
Mr. President, are you worried about indictments coming down?
Trump's walking away from the podium briefly and then realizes he has to stay there. He turns back.
Mr. President.
The intern moves away.
CNN should be ashamed of itself having you working for them. You are a rude, terrible person. You shouldn't be working for CNN. Go ahead.
I think that's unfair.
You're a very rude person. The way you treat Sarah Huckabee is horrible. And the way you treat other people are horrible. You shouldn't treat people that way. Go ahead. Go ahead, Peter. Go ahead.
Okay. And then another reporter tries to jump in and defend Jim Acosta, and Trump again does a terrible job of doing it. Trump gets him back.
In Jim's defense, I've traveled with him and watched him. He's a diligent reporter who busts.
Well, I'm not a big fan of yours either. So
I understand.
To be honest,
audible laugh from the room. Just an amateurish attack from Acosta, because that's exactly what it was. Let's just call it what it is. Your reaction, though, Carla, to this so far. Let's not talk about the doctored video yet and whether or not this is, because I think this is so ridiculous. I want to talk about the actual substance and form of this questioning. Do you think am I being too harsh on Acosta right now?
I would be a little.
Oops, there we go.
I would be a little less harsh on Acosta than you would. I do
fair.
believe that the press is there to hold the government officials to account, and I think that the ongoing issue of racism in our country is a really significant problem.
Mm-hmm.
And so to keep bringing it back to the table, I think, is something that needs to be done.
Completely agree.
Now, in that situation, when it's the day after the election and, there are many things to be talking about, was the question ill-timed? Perhaps it was. On the other hand, one of the things that happened during the election is toward the end there was an ad that Trump wanted to run that several networks refused to run because they said it was racist.
Yep.
So it has been an issue, and then the question becomes how persistent do you become in the news conference? And Acosta was being persistent, but then again he has been criticized quite a lot by the White House as well. So
I hear everything. I think everything you said is correct and true and valid. I think reporters should hold the powerful to account. I think it's important to keep the conversation about race and racism and fear mongering at the forefront. Mm-hmm. I think that his choice of subject is not under question. I would not criticize his selection of what the topic should look of the question. I think the question was inartful and sloppily constructed, and it was not made to hold him to account. It was made to score a point, and it was an attempt to. I mean, it's grandstanding. It is not helpful to anyone for him to get up there and first of all give Trump an opportunity to, because he knows how to respond to this stuff, and you saw it or you heard it in the clip where he bats it right away. Acosta and all these folks in the White House press corps, they do this all the time. They don't seem to be. Mehdi Hasan of The Intercept and formerly of Al Jazeera, that guy knows how to ask a question where he gets to the heart of the issue. You have to be smarter than the canned responses, in my opinion, that you know are going to come from this guy. It's not like Trump has a big playlist of comebacks. It's the same patterns, and he's been doing it for years. And to not figure that out yet and find out a more creative way to get him to talk about these issues, and instead just sort of hand him on a silver platter an opportunity to get his talking points into the record, I think it's lazy, sloppy thinking, and it's not the kind of journalism that I think you correctly identified as necessary to a democratic discourse.
And I think that if you want to paraphrase what his question in essence was, would you like to admit for all of us right now that you're a racist?
Yeah, exactly. And would you also like to, do you want to say, are you worried that they're going to find out about all the colluding you did with Russia? Like what? Really, what kind of a question is that? It's like you talk to a child, you want a child to do something, you have to be artful about it. And I think in the same way, you deal with somebody who's standing at a podium and has demonstrated childlike tendencies in how they engage with people who they see as their adversary. You don't come straight at them. You don't come, obviously and direct like that. I'm getting too focused on Jim Acosta because this whole thing would not have been an issue. And it certainly wouldn't have been about Jim Acosta again, the reporters becoming the news themselves, if he had learned how to ask a better question. He's had plenty of time to figure it out now. He's sitting in the front row of the White House press corps. Do better. We don't expect our NFL players to play like Little League players. That's a totally different sport. You get my analogy, though.
Right.
And I just think it's time to step up. And if you really want to talk about holding powerful people to account, figure out a better way to do it or a smarter way to do it. Otherwise, step aside and let the rest of us get up there and do a better job.
And the other point, too, is that virtually any person in the United States, if you would say to them, would you care to admit right now for us that you're a racist?
Yeah, I'm sure that would work really well.
Virtually every person would say no, because even people who have extremely racist views will deny
the most
racist.
of them. In fact, that's part of their strategy. So. Yeah, no, of course, no. I just care about law and order. I'm not racist. No, it's about culture. My father does this all the time. Right. I'm not calling my dad a racist, but he kind of is. But even there, exactly. But that's the point. I mean, even when you have an acknowledgeable, demonstrable instance where this is a racist occurrence, the people who are involved in it still won't. They're not just going to admit to that. And wasting airtime and wasting breath. And wasting a question on something like that where you know what you're going to get and you ask it anyway just because you have to put your mark in the book is a disservice, I would say. It is not holding the powerful to account. It's holding up the line is really what it is. So, okay, let me take a break. I'm going to drink some tea, calm down a little bit, and we're going to come back. We got Sarah Stonbley, our research director, in the studio with us. And we're going to talk about another really interesting study about good speech, bad speech, and the marketplace, the free market of ideas, TMCR copyright. We'll be right back.
Hey, Georgie, do you want to get involved? Do you like being part of a team? Well, WMSC wants you.
Know something, brother? Whether you enjoy music, editing, sports, or news, WMSC Radio has much to offer. Yeah, brother, it's the Macho Man, being part of the production team, the engineering team, music, and more.
Meet new people, make friends, express your creativity, become an apprentice DJ, and in the future, host your very own radio show.
Meetings are held in the School of Communication and Media, room 1011, Wednesdays at 3:30 p.m.
Sign up today.